February 22, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There were, I guess, a few economic data points that came out. One was at 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here. And as you can see, it didn't really cause the market to move too much. It was the unemployment claims. And then the second piece of economic data that came out the second time was around 6:45, which is about right here. It did cause a little bit of a spike up. It was the flash manufacturing PMI and the services PMI. And then after that, there was really no more economic news. Overall, the market in regular trading hours, the market moved a good probably 50, almost 60 points. But even before then, from yesterday, it opened in the pre-market and it moved pretty much almost 100 points. It moved about about 90 points, which is quite impressive. It moved on two large legs. I saw this one leg up, it consolidated, and then it started a second leg, but it didn't start the second leg till after long, I would say 2-3 hour consolidation, and then it just kind of rallied and then it ended in the close. So it was quite an interesting day. I found a few setups. Unfortunately, I didn't take them, but there was one setup that I did take, and that was my only one trade for the day. There was another setup that I tried to take, but I was too slow on getting my order through, so it just kind of left without me. This is the pre-market. So pre-market, seeing what happened from yesterday and entering into the pre-market, and it's looked like it was kind of consolidating up here. I was thinking it was probably going to be perhaps a trading range day, but more likely it might actually kind of create a bullish rally, kind of continuing from this big push up, but I wasn't really sure. So in the pre-market, it looked like things were just kind of chopping and consolidating. And here around 5:30 is when the unemployment claims came out, but it didn't really do that much. So nothing really big happened. Then prices opened onto regular trading hours. It's still within this trading range, so I'm thinking this is a failed breakout, but I don't see a good clean setup. And it actually pushes through, and it fails to go back into this trading range that I thought was the where prices were going to move. This is also the pre-market highs and the pre-market lows. So I was wondering if it was going to come back down here. If it did and kind of held, then I was thinking it's going to be a trading range day. It was a new high here. It's a first entry long, second entry long, but here's a terrible signal bar. Nothing here tells you that to go long. It's just too risky. Prices then continue moving. This is just too congested right now that I didn't really like looking for a trade here. There was a new low reset here. It's technically a first entry short, and then you get a second entry short way up here, but that's just too far from the move now. It did respect the top of this trading range and also the pre-market highs, but still that wasn't a good enough reason to take a trade because it just had this really big green push up, then another really big green push up here. And this is right where the flash PMI information, services PMI and manufacturing PMI came out. So it's really dicey to try to take this trade because it could have easily flashed back down the other way. Or as you are seeing this, nothing says it couldn't have flashed up and then immediately come back down. So it's good to just wait this out. Kind of consolidates, it pushes through, and now it looks like it's breaking out past the pre-market highs. At this point, I do think there's one leg up, a consolidation. I was thinking there's going to be another leg up. So I established this one. Prices then push up. It looks like it's breaking out of this yellow up channel. Creates a first entry long. You technically have a second entry long here, but it's not a good setup because it's below the EMA. You do have an overshoot here, so to take a second entry long inside the trading range, inside the trading chat, you have an overshoot. To take a second entry long inside here is risky, but since it broke out to the other side, you're thinking prices want to come up and test this high, but it's also broke out of this green channel, so you think prices also want to test this low. There's no clear bias right now other than this huge move up in the beginning, but then there was long consolidation, so I wasn't ready to try to take a long or short just yet. Prices then continue moving. It looks like it's a new low here, first entry short. This is a bad signal bar for second entry short, no trade. consolidates, it looks like the EMA is starting to hold. It flashes down. I don't have this blue trading range established yet because I wasn't really sure what was happening, but I did start drawing this red one, especially when it started doing this. I said, okay, there's some kind of support here. It looks like it's respecting it. It's a new high. It's first entry long, second entry long. This is a bad signal bar. You could argue there's a potential triple test to try to push down once, try to push down twice, try to push down a third time, and it's starting to reverse. But the problem with this is I wasn't 100% sure if the top of this trading range was here or actually here. So was this a fail breakout and then potentially could push out here? I wasn't too sure, so I wasn't too keen on that trade. Pushes up. It looks like it's holding. So now I am pretty certain I'm in a trading range because the bottom looks like it's holding pretty well. The top, it looks like it's holding pretty well. So now I'm looking for setups. Pushes up. And it creates this failed breakout second entry short. Now, this is actually a possible trade. Unfortunately, I didn't take it though. So it looks like it's a new low here. It's a first entry short, push up, second entry short. But if you weren't really counting second entries because it's in a trading range, it is at the highs and tried to push up once, try to push up a second time, try to push up a third time, and it closed very bearish. So whether you had it here, you're thinking it's still outside, you want to confirm it pushes back in, or if you drew it a little bit higher, kind of right up here, it's still a failed breakout and it looks like it's moving back into range. So I tried to enter this. As soon as this opened and it started flashing, I put my entry because I wasn't 100% sure and I wanted to reduce my risk. I put my entry at the lows of this candle. I didn't put it one tick below. And even if I did, I don't know if I was fast enough because when this bar closed, I said, I think there's a trade here. This opened, I dropped in my order right here and then just left without me. So on this single candle, it would have not only let me enter and also let me exit. But unfortunately, I was too slow. So it was a missed trade. I do take this trade though. So I see a new high. It's a first entry long pullback. Technically, it's a second entry long here, but if you're playing range rules, you're just going to buy off the bottom. So I am looking at buying off the bottom. I just like there's a second confirmation of a second entry long setup happening. The signal bar isn't very good, but I wasn't too concerned. EMA isn't acting as any kind of indicator, so it's not really helping in this type of trading. But I did like that it's holding support really strongly. And I was thinking there's an overshoot here. It might want to make an overshoot here. So it looked like it tried to push down once. It tried to push down a second time, and then this closed. So when I saw this, I'm thinking, okay, is it going to push through? I saw this close. I said, I think I'm going to get a trade ready for another pushback up to here. It all depends on if this next candle breaks below this guy, and it doesn't. So opens here, it starts oscillating. And I noticed that it was having a lot of trouble because I think it spiked down to this low early and then just started dancing around up here. That's when I said, I'm going to try to get into this trade. And I was able to get into the trade one tick above this guy. Well, actually, the same high as this guy, not one tick above. And I was hoping for just a quick scalp because I was aware that there might be a resistance here, or the overshoot on this side could be making a matching one here. So I try to reduce the risk as much as possible. Made sure it didn't break below here, and I did enter before this candle closed. So I was playing off a little bit of intuition that looking at the price action, that this was jumping quite a bit. So I thought, okay, maybe it's going to at least flash up to let me get my quick scalp. So that was what I was able to do. Then I see another setup here. It's also at the top of the range. It's another thing to help it go. Another thing helping it is the new low. It's a first entry short, second entry short. Even though I'm in the trading range and you're not really counting for second entries, if there is one that happens to set up, I do like it to use as another justification to take the trade. But if it wasn't quite a second entry, but the signal bar was really strong like this one, I think I would have still tried to take this trade because clearly in a trading range, this red one, or potentially the trading range is a little bit higher where this blue one is, and it did try to push up 3 times, and it tried a 4th time and failed. So this is actually, I think, a decent setup. You could also say there was 2 legs up, and now it's probably going to push back down. It looked like if you did take the trade, you would have probably gotten your quick scalp here. If you try to go for any more than that, try to push it all the way down the bottom, it looks like you would have gotten stopped out. Then prices start breaking out. So now I'm watching carefully because I'm thinking I thought there was a larger trading range. So this red one was here. I thought there might be some kind of larger trading range here and here, this blue one. So I'm thinking there's a potential fail breakout here. But if you notice, there was more of a bearish bias. There wasn't much happening here, and now it's pushing strongly through. So I was a little careful thinking of going short or looking for a short, especially when I just saw this one leg up consolidation. It's trying to push up again. It went through this hour-long consolidation, and now it's starting to push up. So I was just a little more cautious on thinking of taking a short and having prices, thinking prices will come back down. Looks like it shoots up. It does come back down. It creates a new high here, creates a first entry long, pull back, it creates a second entry long. Now the second entry long hasn't failed yet, but I saw that, excuse me, the second entry long had a pretty decent signal bar, but it is below the EMA. The EMA is starting to come into play. It's not quite as sideways anymore, but this is the first test and it failed, so it pushed through. So I'm thinking to go long here feels really risky, but I wasn't necessarily ready to take a short here as well because this is a doji candle. And you're thinking the break of this yellow channel, it made one attempt up, it could be starting a second attempt up. So the second entry long could be valid, but one thing that was going against it was it closed below the EMA, even though it had a decent signal bar. But then if you're thinking of going short, that could be because it could be within this green channel. So I thought it is a possible trade, but it's a little more aggressive. Then it looked like after this candle, I think this would have given you a little more reassurance that prices are probably going to come back down. There's enough for a quick scalp, but you'd have to push it past this low and look like it would have worked. The prices continue down, falls in this green channel, has an overshoot. It keeps going. It starts pushing sideways again. So today there was like a lot of sideways action. Push up, sideways, push up, sideways. Definitely sideways here. And now it looks like it's consolidating again in this sideways price action. With chops left and right, you have technically a new high. So count resets here. You have the first entry long, second entry long, but nothing here is telling you to go long. It feels a little iffy. You have this big, big, big push up. So now I don't like seeing this just happen out of the blue. So I'm a little worried. It takes it all back pretty much. Then it pushes again, all within like a couple minutes. So this is just telling me, okay, just sit on your hands. There's a lot of wild price action happening here. There's not a good indication of what's going on, especially if it's in a trading range. Comes up, pushes out. It looks like it's holding against this top of this trading range, but it is looking like it's trying to find a direction. Technically, a first entry long, then a second entry long. This is the signal bar for the second entry long. It's not very good. After the close, it feels like it's definitely too late because this is the high of the day at this point in time at this time of day. Starts pushing up. I'm thinking there's kind of following up this spike in this very shallow orange channel, but I'm not a big fan of this orange channel. It just doesn't look very clean. And unfortunately, it kind of, just moves out of that and I don't have to worry about it too much. I did see this new high. It's a first entry long pullback, creates a second entry long here, and it creates a failed second entry long here now. So it's new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long, failure, first entry short, second entry short. So you do have two key entry points, but I don't like this. And the reason is it's kind of an almost setup, but the second entry long is really far away. This price action is kind of whippy. So previously it's just in its trading range. It kind of made an attempt up. Now it's falling and failing. It had three big bullish bars down, then four kind of really weak pushes up. So to think of going short, this isn't a very good signal bar to go short. The failure did occur, but I'm not really sure what I'm looking at. It could be, you could argue that it's moving back into this trading range, but it dwelled with so much time outside that it's hard to really trust. So it's kind of this weird almost setup. Maybe if this signal bar was more bearish, then I didn't close so bullish, and it went up, touched, and flashed back down, then I think I would have used that as an indicator, good signal bar, bouncing or rejection off this top of this trading range and touching the EMA. But it was kind of a little iffy, so I'd left it alone. Prices then continue chopping. Looks like it's moving upwards again. So made two legs up. There's technically a new low here. It's a first entry short, pull up. Technically your second entry short is here, but on a visual it's first entry short, second entry short. This is a decent signal bar for the second entry short. but I'm wary of taking a short just because clearly prices are pushing up now. It's making higher lows every time, and it seems to keep pressing upwards. It's a slow grind, but definitely is pressing upwards. So if you took this trade here, I felt it was a little aggressive, too aggressive for me. I didn't even want to mark it just because it's a first entry short, second entry short visual. It's pretty far from the EMA. There's plenty of room to get back, but I just didn't quite like how it lined up. You do have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. This signal bar for going long isn't very convincing. But then once this one closed, it felt like, okay, definitely the trade has been made. I didn't have this red up channel drawn at the time, but even if I did, it's only the second confirmation, not a third. So no trade here, in my opinion. Prices then continue moving up. You only have like a first entry here, another first entry. Technically, you have a second entry long here, and you do have this red channel established now. So it's a new high, first entry long, second entry long. The thing I didn't like about this second entry long is too far from the EMA. It's already pushing really tightly to the top of the high of the day, high of what was the high of day at this time of day. And I just didn't really feel that confident about it. Prices then continue moving up. It's staying within this red channel so far. I saw a new high. Now, whether you counted this as a count reset, you could count it as first entry long, second entry long, because it's a good signal bar. I've thought about it, but I didn't want to count this as first entry because the count technically resets when it makes the same high. So this is technically only a first entry long. Maybe there would have been a trade if it came down and touched the EMA, but it didn't, so I had to leave it alone. This green channel doesn't exist yet because I'm still playing off the red channel. The prices continue moving up, so it starts breaking, and I'm thinking it has an overshoot of this red channel. It has a first entry long, second entry long, but this isn't a good signal bar for the second entry long. It's also too far from the EMA. It was creating this consolidation trading range area, but it's too tight. And prices continue moving up. At this point, it's dwelling for quite a while outside this red channel, so that's when I decided maybe there's a new overlapping channel here. So I drew this green one, which fit really nicely. Didn't mean to scroll back that far back. But it looked like it was fitting pretty nicely. Price is then moving up. I liked how it's like hugging the tops and the bottom, but there's no way to get a clean entry. So unfortunately, I mean, maybe you took this on a hunch, but otherwise there was no clean entries that I could find down here to ride this all the way up, and that's unfortunate. And here's where I kind of see a double trap. It was pretty interesting. I wanted to mark it. So here you have an overshoot of this red channel. You're at the top of this green channel, and it broke out. So technically, you have a new high here. You have a first entry long pullback, and you're thinking potentially a second entry long. So this second entry long, it's a really great signal bar. You're thinking, or I think there's a lot of people that decide to go long because it's a good signal bar. But the thing I don't like is it's an overshoot of this red channel. So taking a second entry long when price action is still within the original channel feels risky because you want to see if this overshoot is going to create a matching overshoot here. But I can see if you did take a second entry long thinking, well, obviously the bias is up, which is true, but the correction, you don't know if it's been played out. So if you did enter one tick above, it looks like you would have gotten in, and most likely you would have kept your stop, let's say, one tick below here for a quick trade. Because this is a small risk candle, it looks like it would have stopped you out. But then if you saw this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short, then you also saw first entry long, second entry long. If you immediately thought, well, okay, there's a failed second entry long because the second entry long failed. If you took it, you got trapped. Now you're thinking, I'm going to take it the other way. So you decide to go short. So if you decide to go short, looks like you would have gotten filled here. And depending on how you took the trade, actually, I think, let me back up. I think if you took the second entry short here, first entry short, second entry short, thinking it's not going to work, you probably would have gotten filled here and gotten stopped out here. So the way I saw it is a double trap, and I might be probably incorrect in my thinking, but the way I saw it was it's a first entry long, second entry long. If you thought it was going to go long, you would have taken it one tick above, gotten filled, pushed down. And if you saw this as a new low, first entry short, second entry short, decide that price is actually still going to push this way, you might have entered one tick below here And then this candle looks like it would have stopped you out if you went long. Well, actually, this candle would have stopped you out if you went long, and this candle here might have stopped you out if you went short. Then prices continue moving down, falls into this yellow channel, breaks out, pushes up, goes up on this green channel. Here I saw a new high here. It's a first entry long, pull back. This is a really decent candle to go potentially for a second entry long. The thing that was giving me a little bit of confusion is after this really strong push up on this red channel, it had an overshoot, but it might want to test its high. This could be the first attempt up. This could be the second attempt up. But it's a break of this yellow down channel. So I saw as overshoot here. It broke out. It might be making another attempt to test the lows here. But it also broke out of this green channel, so it's trying to test both the highs of this guy and the highs of this guy, but it also wants to test the lows of this guy. So which one's going to win out? I'm not 100% sure, but I would have given it more likely to test the highs of this red channel. The red channel itself had already created and met the measured move, so I was a little leery and I wasn't too sure what I was looking at. So I decided this is a really good signal bar. Maybe if you're more aggressive, you just take it anyways. But I wasn't 100% sure. EMA isn't giving you much clues because it's too flat. It looks like if you did take it, you'd have to sit through this noise for a little bit, but then it would have worked. Then prices continue moving up, kind of chops around. I don't see anything I particularly like. It gets too late in the day now because this is approaching the last 10 minutes of the day. And this price action would have been nice if it was earlier in the day because then there's some stuff here that you could have traded. But unfortunately, it's the last 10 minutes. It's just getting a little bit wild and whippy. So pretty much how I saw the charts today, there were a few setups that I think were viable. Unfortunately, I didn't take, and one of them I missed because I was just too slow. And I ended up just taking one trade, so it's okay. It's kind of slow and steady. Overall, it was a little bit easier to read today. There was probably second entries. I mean, there are more just first entries, so you didn't have to really stress too much, but there were a lot of trading ranges and overlapping trading ranges. So hopefully that was helpful.